What's going on, traders? We got a lot to talk about. It's going to be a pretty long video, so I need you guys to really walk with me, talk with me, hear me out, because there's a lot to discuss here. Before we start, like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. Let's get into the video. So right now we're looking at the SPY 2-hour time frame, and if we zoom out, we see that we are trading within this beautiful, and I mean gorgeous, falling wedge pattern. You guys know that this is one of my favorite patterns, and I'm not going to lie, bulls, you almost had me in the first half. I was so close to putting out a bullish video, but the reason why I didn't put out a bullish video was because of this blue trend line. And so interesting enough, we closed at 564, right? And when Trump started to speak, this candle right here, we started to pump towards the upside. We started to pump, and we hit this blue trend line. And as soon as we hit this blue trend line right here, so you guys know I'm not making it up, we bounced here, we bounced here. As soon as we hit this trend line, immediate rejection across the board. Immediate rejection. And so the question is, are we going to continue to see more downside? And I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to say yes. Okay, I don't think that's something I think that's something anyone could have figured out, right? I do think we're going to see more downside, and your key level here is 549. Now this is the part where you need to put your glasses on, put your bifocals on, because if we zoom in, what do you see down here? What do you see? Darkness, depression, Diddy, right? Absolute pain. All right, if you stay below 549 on the SPY, you open up the floodgates to 530s. Okay, you can go as low as 530, 535 more or less. All right, right at the bottom of this falling wedge. And in case you need more confirmation that we could head towards the low 530s, if we look at quant data, institutions loaded up 535 puts on the SPY with expiration of May 16th. 535 strike. They were loaded at 562.52, quantity 19,000 cons. At the ask, premium 11.06 million. Hopefully that's enough. Hopefully that proves my point. All right, hopefully that's enough. So your key level to the downside, 549. Your key level to the upside, if we're talking about upside, is 555. You get above 555, you're looking at a move towards 559, 560 cycle level. In order for me to really start being bullish all over again, or start leaning more bullish, 564, that goes without saying. And then I want to see a break and retest of this falling wedge, and then chances are we can head towards 570, 575. But ultimately, I think we're going to see a lot more downside. Triple Qs. Same thing, same exact thing happened with the triple Qs. What happened? All right, Trump started to speak, right? Again, you have this beautiful falling wedge pattern. Trump started to speak, you pump towards the upside, you retested the top of this falling wedge, immediate rejection. This stuff works. You know, maybe your TA doesn't work, maybe the next person TA doesn't work, but I'm here to tell you every time my TA works, okay? And you can call it arrogance, you can call it what you want, but I put in the work, I taught myself this stuff, and I'm proud of how far I've came, all right? And you should feel the same, okay? So if you call something right, you should be happy about it. And so right now, we hit the top of this rising wedge pattern at around 485, 484 more or less. Immediate rejection. And again, this candle was while Trump was speaking. And so right now we are looking at a move towards 449, 450 more or less on the triple Qs. All right. Now, I will say this. If we hit the bottom of these falling wedge patterns, we could be looking at a bottom. All right, we'll talk about that in another video, but we could be looking at a bottom unless we do something absolutely insane. Maybe we start trapping, like setting up a trap, and we just break further below the rising wedge pattern, falling wedge pattern. That's very much possible. But ultimately, we could be looking at a bottom. We'll talk about that in another video. But that's what I'm looking at for the triple Qs when it comes to downside. You stay below 460, right? 460, you're heading towards 450s, all right? Low 450s, all right? If you manage to get back above 467 on the triple Qs, then you're looking at a move towards 470. You get above 470, then you're looking at a move toward, or you open the floodgates towards 475 and then 480. In order for me to really lean bullish, I want to see a break and retest out of this falling wedge. So break, retest, and then chances are we're heading back towards the 500, 499 range. So that's what I'm looking at for the triple Qs. IWM, I mean, we're going to make an absolute bag. Congratulations, Discord members. We are about to be rich tomorrow. Okay, absolutely rich. So we're adding this to our win streak. We're currently like 15-0, 14-0 in the Discord. We have not lost a trade yet. I mean, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. You are truly missing out if you are not in the Discord. You're gonna see people in the comments hating on the Discord, but hey, the money talks. I show you guys all the time how much we're winning, how often we're winning, and right now we are on a winning streak. So it is what it is. Let the haters hate, you know, but we here to make money. All right, we making money in the Discord. Let them hate from outside the club. All right, but IWM, I mean, 190. 190. Simple as that. I mean, you're below every key level there is at this point. 198, you're below 198, you're below 197, you're below 195 psych level. There's nothing here at this point. If you zoom all the way out, you're pretty illiquid all the way towards 190. So that's my next target at this point. I mean, you destroyed every key level there is with the IWM. Now, when we're talking about upside, if we're talking about upside, you want to see IWM pretty much reclaim 201. But until then, not much to talk about here. Tesla, below 280, you're bearish. Below 280, the fact that we broke below 280 again is pretty bearish on Tesla. It's also important to note if you go to the daily time frame that you rejected the 200 MA. All right, you rejected 200 MA at around 285, 286. Your key levels on Tesla is 263, or your next key level is 263. You can say 260 your psych level. From there, you're looking at a move towards 252. And then from there, 250, you break and hold below 250 on Tesla, you open up the floodgates towards 242, 240 range. All right. And then we'll talk about other levels prior to that. I mean, in the next video, I mean. All right. So that's what I'm looking at for Tesla. In order for me to be really bullish on Tesla, I think it goes without saying, you just need to break and hold above 293. All right. And by then, you'll be above the 200 MA as well. Apple. Oh my gosh. I mean, you guys know how I feel about Apple, man. I'm kind of upset that it's breaking below 210. 210 is your key level. One thing I pointed out in my Apple video that I made, where I was pretty much letting you guys know that I do think Apple is going to see a lot more downside, is this trend line right here. Currently, and this was going to be a trade for tomorrow, but it looks like we might miss out. I am so sorry, Discord members, but yeah, no way to predict this was going to happen, right? But yeah, Apple, this trend line right here, you rejected here, you rejected here. 210 is your key level. You are currently below that after hours at 209. Apple's going to head towards 200. If it stays below this trend line, 200 is your next target. 198 more or less, somewhere around there. But yeah, I think Apple is going to see a lot more downside. I mean, this thing is getting absolutely cooked. And one thing I pointed out in our private Discord member video is that Apple was forming, believe it or not, Apple was forming an inverse head and shoulders pattern, right? Shoulder here, head here, shoulder here. But one thing I told Discord members is to respect the levels. I tell you guys on this channel all the time, respect the levels. As long as Apple stays below 225 and holds, there's no reason to trust this head and shoulders pattern, this inverse head and shoulders pattern. So what you want to see is a break and retest of this level 225, and then chances are you're going to head towards 228, 230. That didn't happen. I'm hoping nobody jumped the gun and made an assumption that we're just going to break towards the upside when it comes to Apple. I didn't. You got to respect the levels. The levels don't respect you. You have to respect the levels. So if you jumped into calls prior to this neckline break on this head and shoulders pattern, you would have got, I think you get the point. Okay, you would have got oiled up and diddled down. All right, so that's what we're looking at for Apple. I think Apple's heading towards 200 as long as it stays below 210. All right, really upset that I'm not going to be able to catch this. I'm hoping we get a little bit of recovery towards the upside. I know that sounds crazy, but I had this whole thing planned out just for it to happen while I'm not in the play. Crazy. But that's what I'm looking at for Apple. All right. Next stock is Nvidia. It's really not much to talk about here on Nvidia. It's still in this range. Like I said before, until Nvidia gets below 103, not much to talk about here. And I mean, you saw it get above 110. It pumped all the way to 113 and rejected. So I would assume that Nvidia might get below 103 at this point. And if you get below 103 on Nvidia, you open up the floodgates to like 92, between 92 and 95. So yeah, but right now, nothing to really get excited about here. It's still within this range. I mean, you guys see it here. You just consolidated in this range. I really can't give you much here. I'm sorry. Okay, so Nvidia 103 is your key level to the downside. All right, semiconductor ETFs. I actually haven't looked at these, but my lord. Again, you're seeing these. So I want to point out, I want to make this clear. You're seeing these bullish patterns across the board. You're seeing a lot of falling wedges across the board. So downside could be limited, right? We could see a recovery coming soon. All right, I will say that much. Okay, you could see some type of recovery coming soon. Now, you want to wait for confirmation. You don't want to assume, but yeah, you're seeing these falling wedges across major ETFs, major futures, major indices, right? So as far as SMH goes, 205 is your key level. You break below 205, you're heading towards low 200s. Lowest you can possibly go is about 197, 198 before potentially seeing a bounce towards the upside. As far as upside goes, 212 is your key level. You saw us breaking attempt to hold above it, but ultimately ended up failing. All right, so that's what I have for SMH. SOXX, same thing. You see this massive falling wedge on SOXX as well. SOXX manages to break below 182, then you're heading towards 178, and then we'll have to wait and see what happens from there. But again, you'll be at the bottom of this falling wedge, and you might see a recovery or a bounce towards the upside, right? So it's looking like downside could be limited, all right? It's looking that way. It is looking that way. I will say that much, but we'll have to wait and see. You gotta wait for confirmation. Meta, back below the 200 in May, you open up the floodgates. If you get below 552, I should say, you open up the floodgates to 530. So you bounced here, you bounced here, you bounced here. So 552 is your key level. You're currently at 557 after hours. This thing closed at 583, is at 557 after hours. Oh my, man. I'm kind of upset that I said on cash, but you know, it's all hindsight. At the end of the day, it's hindsight. Like anything could have happened. We could have pumped towards the upside, and then I would have been like, "Oh man, I'm glad I said on cash, right?" But regardless, yeah, 552 is your key level when it comes to Meta. As far as upside goes, 576, 577, pretty much above the 200 MA. But the fact that we're back below the 200 MA just spells disaster for more downside. So we'll see. In regards to Meta, I think I went over Tesla, went over Apple. I think I went over every major stock that I consider major. Bitcoin below 84K. Again, I mean, you're bearish. This thing is just annoying. There's not much to talk about here. Someone asked me, do I think Bitcoin is heading to 90K? I think you got your answer. But yeah, not much to talk about here. Bitcoin gets back below 84K. You open up the floodgates to 73K all over again. It's just a stupid roller coaster ride. Not much to talk about here. I do believe you have a bearish pattern here. Could be a spinning top or a shooting star pattern. Just gotta wait and see. This thing's it's annoying. All right, it's just plain annoying. VIX. I don't even know where VIX is after hours. Let me see. Yeah, I don't even know. I don't know, but yeah, VIX. I'm going to assume that it's heading towards 28. That will be my next target, and then we'll have to wait and see from there. So 28 is right where these guys are, and then we'll have to wait and see from there. I'm assuming that it's heading there. I'm not saying it's there. I'm just assuming that it's heading there. So we'll see. If the VIX gets below 22.6, then yeah, you're obviously going to see more upside when it comes to the VIX, and then the market would do the opposite. So that's what I'm looking at for the overall market, guys. In conclusion, wow, SPY is at 545 after hours. Wow. I mean, in conclusion, it goes without saying, I'm pretty bearish. I think I showed you guys what institutions are doing. They're in 535 puts for May 16th. These guys are making an absolute bag right now. I showed this in the Discord. A lot of you asked me, do I show this quant data stuff in the Discord? Do I put out trade ideas? Absolutely. I put that out in the Discord. I let Discord members know that institutions are in these puts. So hopefully somebody jumped in. We'll see. Hopefully somebody trusted the process. But yeah, I put these plays out all the time. Despite me sitting on cash, I still provide I still try my best to provide value. I provide trades here and there. Discord, I would show it, but everybody's like celebrating in the Discord, and I didn't want the like bleeping sound to keep going off and everything like that. But yeah, everybody's celebrating the downside right now in the Discord because we were pretty bearish. I will say that much. And plus, we are in IW inputs. We jumped in Monday, so don't be like, oh, I thought you were sitting on cash, or I was sitting on mostly cash. Keyword is mostly, guys. All right, so not only that, but AMD. I want to see AMD because we're also in AMD. Well, I'm in AMD runners because I trimmed some contracts yesterday. Yeah, AMD is at 99 after hours. Oh man, it's going to be a big day. It's going to be a nice payday for us in the Discord. Link is in the description below. You are truly missing out. Ignore what the haters are saying in the comments below. You're going to have one or two talking crap about the Discord, but the money is there. The proof is there. The haters are going to hate from outside the club. It is what it is. All right. So until the next video, traders, have a good one.